lots of ESL teaching companies and schools ask for these demo lessons because they want to see what you're like in a lesson, and they want to see your personality, and giving a mock lesson is a really good way of doing this. So my first tip, even though it seems a little bit obvious, it can be really helpful, is simply to ask what is expected of you. This can be as easy as asking about, how long it should be, if there's any doubt about what your background should look like, if you should use props, do they have material they want you to use, is there some particular grammar point or vocab point they want you to focus on. All of these things are really important. The next step of the process of preparing for your mock lesson is obviously to research and plan what your lesson's going to be. You need to pick something focused. As I mentioned before, there's 4 kind of major areas. You can do a grammar lesson, a vocab lesson, or a conversation-based lesson, or a skills lesson where you're trying to maybe teach vocabulary about going to a train station or how to interact at a restaurant, a skill like that. So you want to pick one of these kinds of lessons, and you also need to figure out what you can fit into the time frame that is given to you. The next step of prepping your demo lesson is to practice. Practice, practice, practice. Again, this might seem like common sense, but I think it's where a lot of people might stumble on giving a demo or mock lesson, is they haven't practiced enough. So whether you're making your own materials or using the company's, you need to practice until it feels natural. Part of practicing is making sure that you are going to perform or record your mock lesson just as you will when it actually comes to the time. So it's not enough to just read over your plans a lot of times. You need to practice it out loud. If you're going to do your mock lesson standing up, you should practice standing up. If you're going to do it sitting down, you should practice sitting down. And you should do it out loud so that you can hear yourself. Maybe if you're stumbling over certain words, you can really hone in on them so that you're giving the best lesson possible. The last few things I want to talk about are kind of how you should act when you give your mock lesson. So of course this is going to vary depending on if you're teaching adults or children, but here's some kind of general rules. The first is to be expressive. They're asking for a mock lesson so that they can see what you're like in the classroom, and if you talk like this, no student will listen to you because there's too much monotony and you're not giving enough variation in your voice. So it's really important to be expressive. Use your face muscles, use the hills and the valleys of your voice, use your hands, use gestures. These are all really important when you're teaching, online or in person, doesn't matter. If you are going to be applying for English teaching positions online for children specifically, they will probably require you to use something called TPR, which stands for Total Physical Response. Now this relates again to gestures. So if you're giving a mock lesson using TPR, you want to be sure that your hands are well framed. There's lots of resources out there about the use of TPR, but in general, what it means is gestures that show the student what you want them to do. So if you want them to listen, you would do something like this. If you want them to speak, you would do something like this, indicating your mouth. If you want them to look at something, you might do something like this or something like this to show that you're watching something or seeing something. The last thing is, if at all possible, have some fun. They want to see your personality. They want to know why you are different from all the other candidates who have applied. And one of the best ways to do that is to kind of have fun with your lesson. It might not go perfectly, but your ability to handle it with, grace, perhaps some humor, will really go far in making your mock lesson be successful. So hopefully these few tips were useful for you in preparing your mock or demo lesson. As I said before, check out the description below for some useful links to things I talked about in this video, and good luck on your mock lesson.